So what do we do with all your stuff to sail around the world? What do you do with it all? Do you have to get rid of everything, do you think?
Well, I wouldn't say it's about depriving yourself of stuff. It is a practical consideration because you might want to rent your house out. You might not have the storage. So it's not a minimalist philosophy. I think it is a very practical consideration. So yes, I think you do, to a certain extent, have to get rid of stuff. I think it's good anyway, every now and again, periodically through your life, is to have a bit of a stock take, don't you?
What's wrong with a minimalist way of living as well?
There's nothing wrong with it, but I think a lot of people do grow up attached to stuff. I mean, we are in the age of stuff, aren't we? People like their account with Amazon.
I think it's sort of changed a bit though, because like we used to take photos and we have boxes of photos, and now we don't because it's all online, isn't it? Like our stuff now is all digital, more so, don't you think?
Photography, yeah. But I think the amount of stuff that people are buying now is so easy to kind of click and collect.
People don't have one bike now, do they? They have 2 or 3 bikes.
And now I guess we've got 6 or 7, I think.
Not exactly. But now you've got a road bike, a mountain bike, a track bike. You think of all the things here in their garage or in their house. You used to have a picture you might have handed down for your gran, but now you can get any picture you want. You can fit out your home. You've got different cushions every year. You don't go to the gym anymore. And now you have your gym at home.
I mean, in a way, you think we'd have less stuff now because things like smartphones, it's a camera, it's your record player, it's your video player. It's basically everything's kind of compacted into one small device. But paradoxically, I think if you look around people's houses now, there's just seems to be way more stuff.
Well, it's changed, isn't it? In the past, you'd have a whole crockery set, didn't you, on display, and vases and all that sort of thing. And that was always passed down. It stayed with your family, didn't it get passed down to your kids? Now people don't really want that, do they?
With every generation, I think you have certain stuff that kind of defines you. And I think for our grandparents' generation, that was, for some bizarre reason, it was crockery sets. I don't know why that was a thing. God knows what we'll pass on to our kids, where they think it's equally as useless.
I actually think nowadays people are less attached to things. They have a lot of stuff, but they're less attached to it, I think.
Yeah, there's that kind of consumerist mentality that we just keep flipping stuff, turning it over.
Yeah, and you can get it cheap and you can change it next year when you choose a new style and another fashion's out, where in the past you sort of have it forever, don't you?
If you're planning on a trip like ours where you're going to head off for a few years and possibly rent out your house, what do you do with that stuff? Most
people want to try and find somewhere to put it, like the chest that's been passed down from their grandma. They're going to want to try and find somewhere to put it.
There are different hurdles why people don't want to give stuff away. One of those things is obviously sentimental value. The other thing is people don't like to be seen to be wasteful, and so they can't bring themselves to chuck things out.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily have to chuck them out. We sold a lot of our stuff that we didn't think anything of, and it was kind of junk really. But it found a new lease of life in somebody else's life by eBaying it off or giving it to a charity.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, your junk is someone else's treasure. And even if you just give things away, it's better than just chucking it. Some people don't care about waste, quite honest. There are those few, but I think a lot more people now are buying things secondhand. The vintage thing, eBay, it's all taken off in the last 15, 20 years, isn't it?
Do you remember when we were travelling around the world, it was mainly the Anglo-Saxon countries like Australia, New Zealand. They had a lot of charity shops and a lot of expat enclaves that we went to as well. But there's a lot of countries that don't even consider the second-hand shops. So I don't know what they do with their second-hand stuff.
I don't know whether they have so much stuff. Maybe they do keep hold of it. They don't process through things as quick, because I don't think they would just chuck it. If it was closed, they'd pass it down to someone. So do you think it does make you free if you get rid of things? Does it give you more freedom, though?
I mean, it's a very sort of Buddhist way of looking at it. Like less is more. No, it was Mondrian who said that.
It doesn't really matter.
Mies van der Rohe. Anyway, the less is more.
So I'm asking you, not them.
Yeah. No, but there is that philosophy that less is more. So the less you have, the more you get out of life, because you're less encumbered by stuff.
Yeah.
I think we found that, didn't we? When we got rid of stuff, it was a painful barrier to go through. But once we got rid of that stuff, the house did feel a lot lighter.
Yeah.
And a lot airy, and you did feel a lot freer.
Yeah, I think so. We did keep certain things that were very useful. It might sound crazy, but feather duvets. I had lots of feather duvets, and they all were bagged up. And it was great getting back to a house with very little money. It was cold, and the first thing I got out was the duvets.
Yeah.
If I had to go and buy them all new, they would have cost over 200 quid to get all those nice feather duvets. But because I wrapped them up well, all the linen, it was all here.
That's a good point, actually, because when we came back, there's still stuff we thought we could never live without, and we boxed up, and we still haven't got into those boxes. So stuff that you find sentimental at the time might generate the same feelings further down the line.
Yeah, funnily enough, all the things we were less attached to, like the crockery. There was one bit where I actually gave things away to friends. They all came round to say goodbye, and I made them go off with a box of stuff. And some of them actually gave it all back to me when I got back. And I've been looking after this for you. And I was like, oh, and then I thought, actually, it's quite useful camping stuff that I wasn't going to go out and buy straight away, and some kitchen stuff. And obviously a lot of the toys we don't need anymore. I only kept a certain amount of toys, just some of the nice wooden stuff, which our nieces and nephews still play with when they come. But everything else, nobody would have known any different.
Yeah. And plus the kids grow up as well. So things that they were so attached to when they were kids, and they come back and they can't even remember they even had it. So
the kitchen stuff was really handy, I've got to say, the practical stuff. But there are still boxes there, which I still want to go through. And a lot of it was kids' stuff from school. You know, the pictures you'll come home with every term, like piles them, and you keep them all because your kid has made them and they're so special. And now I go through them, and some of them I throw away.
Yeah, but that's the argument for digitising everything now. You can't just take pictures.
But some of it I'll still keep because they come home and they open up those boxes and they go through things like the little band they wore when they were born at the hospital. You can't digitise that. It's not the same when you look at a photo, go, oh, interesting. It's an actual band that was on their little wrist.
It's a trigger for a memory. It's the memory that's important, not the thing itself.
But I would argue with you because...
You would argue with me?
About that because you're the one that wanted to keep them, actually. And I think in some ways, I look at it now and I think the kids realise how special they were, how important they were, that we kept that little band and how tiny they were. And you can't get that perspective on a photo. The first cuts of hair they had, it takes up a box this small.
So if you've got 100 boxes, small boxes...
But you don't have 100 kids though, do you?
No, but you've got 100 little boxes of memorabilia. The first tooth, the first...
Well, yeah, but if you think about that, a tooth and a bit of hair and a little arm thing is about that big. There is something about them. The kids open it up and they realise how important and special they are because we kept those first things from them.
It's like keeping a Frankenstein monster of a kid because you kept all of the body parts.
Well, not exactly that. But if you get into philosophy, life is so transient, isn't it? It's so fast moving. We don't realise how quick it moves in a way and how fast kids grow up. And I think as humans, we'd like to think we're just detached from it and we're just hovering through life. But actually, I think we do struggle with this movement of time. And I think things like that suddenly become really important when you realise how fast time moves. And as humans, we grasp onto it. But I think you've got to keep it as minimal as possible if you can. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes that big, massive chest or picture that your gran gave you, you can't even let go of that. So that is when it becomes tricky.
Yeah, tempting as it is to go down another philosophical cul-de-sac like we normally do in these blogs. This is about trying to reassure people that getting rid of stuff is actually not a bad thing to do. It's actually a good thing to do. It's necessary, and it's also very cleansing. Yeah. And you don't have to be the hair shirt minimalist to believe in it.
Some people I spoke to said everyone gets a box to take and a box to keep. And you have to fit everything in that box, basically. But try and get rid of all the rest of the stuff. I actually think we could have got rid of more things before we left. Could have got rid of more bikes. Things like that. I never knew whether family was going to use it. And in the end, we got rid of it and we got back. And we didn't know how long we were going for as well, did we?
That's true. We didn't even know that we'd settle abroad.
That's right.
Plus, we needed to clear out the house to rent it out as well.
Everything was gone from the house. And then we had this one space here, actually, that was cut off. And that's where everything was. And then it got more complicated because all your tools and things that you kept and that dust cleanser.
What?
The dust extractor, which is massive, and all those things wouldn't fit in this space. All that stuff went in there. Every single little bit of scaffolding part that you had to keep.
But tools, not sentimental things. They're things that you're going to need when you get back. Our house is pretty run down.
Yeah, we still do have all that stuff, don't we, just in case?
But yeah, I mean, it costs a fortune to replace all that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that was sentimental rubbish.
No, it wasn't at all. It's just stuff.
That was expensive tools. You should never stand in between.
Yeah, okay, so that's fine. So we expanded out into that space, which was actually quite handy because we also had beds that needed moving down when we were away.
Well, that was the one thing we did keep because we thought renters would want beds, but actually they didn't want the beds either. But they were quite handy when we came back, although you did sell our bed when we got back. I remember coming back one day and the bed had gone.
I know,
kipping on the floor.
Yeah, because I came in here and I realised we had lots of beds in here.
They were all dismantled.
Yeah, so the only way to shift them out of this space was to try and sell one up there, which we didn't need, and then move one up there, which is what we did.
But anyway, we're talking about when we got back. We need to talk about when we first left. Even though we were singing from the same hymn sheet when it came to getting rid of stuff, it wasn't the easiest thing to do, was it?
It's because everyone's got their own stuff from their other lives.
Yeah.
We'd also lived our own lives before. And it is hard to try and shift everything.
It's kind of the elephant in the room. I know we're kind of trying to avoid talking about it, but it was the China dog.
Oh, God.
The China dog, which was given
Tell
to
us
me.
about it,
It was
Woody.
given to me when I was 4 years old by a man who was dying, and my dad used to go and take care of him. And he gave me that China dog because I didn't have a pet, so it was my pet dog. It was a crappy bit of ornament, a bit of tat, really, but it had lots of sentimental value. But you persuaded me to get rid of it, which was the right thing. But then I discovered your ice skates hidden away at the bottom of a shelf. So how do you square that circle in?
Oh yeah, so they've got no sentimental value, the ice skates. They're just handy because I do go ice skating sometimes.
How many times have you used them in the last 10 years?
I know I've not been ice skating because
How many times?
Yeah, but then, you know.
Give me a figure. How many times have you used them in the last 20
Yeah,
years?
so we could talk about the tape recorder that was my dad's before he died.
That
You
was
got
just a
rid
tape
of.
recorder covered in paint. How was I to know that? I mean, the last thing you'd think would have sentimental value is a tape recorder covered in paint.
Or an ugly China doll.
Yeah, but I told you
I
about
rest
my
my
stories.
case.
I told you.
But anyway, we still have the dust distractor, remember?
You can't compare. And then there was my rare collection of Beatles records as well, which I've been collecting ever since I was a teenager.
Yeah, which you played all the time on the record player that we don't have.
But, you know. Anyway.
So it's not easy, is it?
So
No.
just, don't mention.
But do you feel
Don't.
lost now of those things? I mean, is it the fact that you didn't have a pet or the fact that you don't have the dog that
Well,
represents a pet?
you know what? The fact that you made me get rid of it has probably given it a bigger lease of life than if I'd kept it anyway, because talking about it actually brings that memory back more than just having the dog
exactly.
stuffed
We
in the
talk
bottom
about that man a lot and the fact you didn't have a pet. I'm sorry you didn't have a pet.
Yeah. Traumatized. Neither of us have gone through a divorce, but I guess it's like a divorce really, when you've got all this stuff and you're trying to divide it up. You've got it in 3 piles. Do we keep it? Do we chuck it? Do we sell it or give it to a charity shop?
Yeah, I think with a divorce, you're probably more like who gets what, because you probably both want the same things.
Yeah.
And you're fighting over it and who's going to take it.
Yeah. But in this sort of scenario, I've got a pile of stuff, you've got a pile of stuff, and I'm saying you should get rid of that, and you're saying you should get rid of that.
Well, that's what we did, isn't it? So I think, like going back to the doll, the dog. You got rid of the dog, and I had to pass on a statue that I loved as well, which you probably
If you
thought
give
was
it to your
ugly.
brother, and sell it on eBay.
Yeah, you could have given it to your sister, couldn't you?
Yeah, I don't think she would have wanted it. Anyway, I think we should move on from that.
Have you?
So, try and persuade people to get rid of stuff. It feels slightly hypocritical because we're not minimalists, really. And we do understand the sentimental value of some stuff.
I think it's more about not being around your familiar things, to be quite honest, which is hardest. Because as you're putting all your things away, either giving it, selling it, or storing it, you're removing that space you're used to that feels known and comfortable, and you're going into the unknown. I think a lot of it's about that, actually, rather than just the stuff and what you can do. They usually forget about it after, but you're walking out of somewhere that's your home and it's secure.
It's the same theme that runs through all of this particular series that we're doing now. It's a mindset change, isn't it? It's letting go to be able to go into something new and different, to go into the unknown. And your sentimental things and your stuff is the known.
It's also your identity. So you're going to start off on a new path with a new identity, really. And I think that's probably what a lot of it's about.
Yeah. And when you return, you don't return to being the same person anyway. You come back as a changed person. So it's not like you're going to take that stuff up again and become your old self because you change. Is it Admiral McRaven who said, if you want to change the world, make your bed. And the whole philosophy behind that was, in the morning, get up and make your bed. And if you achieve nothing else during that day, you'll come home to a made bed. And that's what it's like coming back after all those years, is you want to lay the groundwork for when you return. You don't want to return to a house of sentimental tat and crap that you never wanted in the first place. You're coming back to a clean slate, hopefully.
I think so, yeah. Well, it's quite hard to do that, isn't it, sometimes, coming back to that.
Well, it is when you're skinned and you've got nothing to buy the new stuff.
Well, yeah, and sometimes you want to go through those memories and think, oh, this is where we were, but then you also have moved on, and the things there you feel like have stopped still. The stuff that you left there, it's like, well, life has just stopped still there, but I've moved on and done lots of other things. It's like human, isn't it? We buy souvenirs from places because it creates our identity as we go around, and you need to make room for the new identity. It's like the Polynesians, they tattoo everything that happens in their lives, so it becomes a story of their life. And when you get to the end, your body will be full of tattoos. There's no more space left. So I suppose it's the same in life. You just need to make space. You might bring things back from your trip.
We were very conscious not to do that. We videoed a lot, didn't we, everywhere we went? Because I think the memories are what's important, not the things you bring back.
Although we do have 5 of those calabash things, a couple of oars, and various other little bits and pieces. But yeah, I think that's what we do, don't we? We are a little bit materialistic as humans, so we do end up having a few little things from here and there. And they do collect up, and then they get thrown away.
I suppose it's a survival instinct, isn't it? You've got to collect stuff and hoard stuff.
In their tombs, they used to put their jewels and riches. So it's a bit like that, isn't it?
Imagine spending an eternity with all your old tat.
Well, you wouldn't really experience it, but yeah.
I think the takeaway is don't sweat it. Getting rid of stuff is actually a good thing, and there's lots of ways of doing it. And even if you didn't want to do it, you could always rent a storage unit and bung it all in there.
Yeah, it's really, if you've got the budget for that, do it, maybe make some space to move on.
Talking about moving on, next time we're going to be talking about sailing, people who are worried that they can't sail. Now, I know this is a controversial area, but we'll go into it next week. But what do people do when they want to have this adventure and they haven't learned to sail? And we have met people who did step on board a boat and head off across an ocean without any experience.
Yeah, because it isn't just about learning to sail at all, is it? There's a load of other things.
Yeah, so that's it. Actually, next week, I want to talk about the Southampton Boat Show because we're going to be there. So I'll give more details on that. But in the meantime, stay well and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.